Okay, we're back with Danielle talking about. I don't know why I'm smiling. I guess because there's such an awkward thing to talk about, like your mental illness, telling the whole world. So I'm just going to smile through it. So, anyways, I want to continue talking to Danielle because you have a lot of really good things to say. I mean, we all do, but um, okay, so when Sloan, so how old is Sloan right now?
2.5.
2.5. So do you think you're going to tell her about your struggles like as soon as
100%. Yeah.
Yeah?
If like if she sees me crying now, I just tell her that I'm sad. And it's funny because she asks me daily, "Are you happy, mommy? Are you happy?" And it's like it is different coming from a 2.5-year-old, but I say to her sometimes, "No, I'm not feeling happy today," or yes, I'm feeling happy today, but I'm very anxious. You know, I'm very like I'm feeling tense, or and if she's doing something and she's upsetting me, or like I'm just having a bad day, I just tell her, I'm having a bad day, and it's okay for mommy to cry, no different than it's okay for you to cry.
Yeah.
And, this is just the way that life is sometimes.
I think that's great that you're honest with her, like from such a young age, because I feel like now she can probably grow up knowing things so much different than we grew up with, And yeah, like you just said, it's okay for you to have a bad day. It's okay for her. It's okay for anyone to have a bad day, but it's hard admitting it to yourself, but also to your child. I feel like that would be pretty hard. But it's just, I feel like it'd be great for her. Like I'm not a mother. I'm not going to pretend I know, but just from a child growing up not knowing anything about mental illness at all, I feel like you're starting her on a great path, considering your mother-in-law has mental illness issues. Your sister-in-law has mental illness issues. You do. I don't know about anyone else in your family, but there's no sense in lying about it, right?
Well, no, and like if I don't know if I can't if I had cancer and I was throwing up because I had chemo, I'm not gonna lie to her and say that I'm just not feeling well.
Right.
Like it just doesn't make any sense to me to sugarcoat it or
No.
make it seem anything other than it is. And I mean, eventually when she's at the right age, we likely will have the discussion that I wanted to die and she was the thing that pulled me through.
Yeah.
Like especially if she, knock on wood, has mental health issues as well, which is also a huge fear. But
Yeah.
you deal with it as it comes.
You deal with it, right? You're dealing with it. I'm dealing with it. Yeah, because you're still here to tell her about that, which is amazing. And I feel like because we're at this age or at this time where mental health now is being less stigmatized, I think, at least. Well, look at us. We're here talking about it openly. I just feel like that maybe Sloan will follow in your footsteps in when she's saying if she's having a bad day, she'll tell you she's having a bad day.
Yeah.
And then you guys can talk about it openly. Whereas when we were kids, it was just you're happy or you're sad, right? Like there was no depression. I mean, we could have had depression or anxiety from when we were very young, but it just wasn't common and it wasn't diagnosed when children are that young.
Yeah.
Who even knows, because it comes out at different times. Like it came out for me when I was a teenager, and then my anxiety is self-diagnosed. I will admit. I have not been actually diagnosed with it from a doctor, but you feel what you feel.
100%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I just spit on you. We're getting really close now. All right. Well, do you want to talk about anything? Like, do you want people to know something about how you feel okay. So, sorry. One thing. Do you do anything else besides medication to try and help yourself?
So I meditate. I journal.
Oh, great. I want to try doing that.
Yeah. And I just talk a lot about it.
Yes.
Like I'm not afraid. Like somebody dropped off a poster today because the Port Perry High School is having a seminar on Thursday, May 24th for parents and their children. And one of the girls, she dropped it off and she's like, "Oh, do we look stressed out or something?" I said, "Depression and stress are two totally different things. I just need to clarify this. Like I'm on like anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication." So we talked a little bit about that. But yeah, it's just...
That's just what you do. Well, that's great. I mean, did you just start doing that, or?
I've just been more open about it.
Right. But I mean, like, I didn't start meditating really until Jude introduced me to it.
Yeah, likewise.
Right. So like there's all these things that we started doing so much later after we were diagnosed. And I feel like it's going to continue, for me at least, it's going to continue. I'm going to find these things that I like to do that just help me. Like, I want to stress that, like, I feel like you can't do things to help your depression. Like, personally, I believe in medication. And I think that there's things that can distract you from your diagnosis. Or diagnoses or whatever from your depression, but I feel like it's always going to come back. Like your depression is always going to be there. It's always going to be on the surface, and we can laugh and we can smile, but that doesn't mean that we're not depressed. So I feel like the things that I do, they help me, but not in the sense of getting rid of my depression. It's just kind of taking me away from it, like meditating, right? Yeah. Or journaling. I think journaling, like writing your feelings down, it's so therapeutic for me. And therapy is very therapeutic. And you said that you've been in therapy for like 10 years?
So, yeah, like a very long time, yeah.
So do you like therapy then?
Yeah, I think if you have the right care practitioner, it works. But like I've gone through, and not many, but just from moving and stuff like that, I've had to get new ones. And typically, like I tried a few sessions, and then if I don't like them, I just move on because I'm not wasting my money and my time because it's expensive. Yeah. So yeah, it's just I found talk therapy very helpful.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I've now been on. I'm now on my 4th therapist. Well, this one is a psychotherapist. I've seen 2 psychologists, and I can't remember what the 3rd one is. So I totally understand that. If you're not vibing, then it's like a waste of time.
100%.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this a little bit off camera, but like Danielle just said, seeing a therapist or someone along those lines, a counselor, is very expensive. For me personally, the one psychologist that I saw last year was $225 an hour, and my husband's benefits only cover $300 a year, which is like 1 point something, right? A year, which is ridiculous. And we personally can't afford for me to do that all the time. However, on the flip side, we also can't afford for me not to, because it's something that's really important to me and I really enjoy it. So it's like, you have to find the money somewhere, right?
You do.
So do you have benefits with your work?
I do. So last year my benefits only covered $1,000, and in March I was going every other day. So I mean that was crazy, but they just increased it to $3,000 a year. So yeah, it's certainly not going to cover everything, and I haven't been in therapy at all this year, just from going back to work and everything like that. And I haven't felt like I really needed it because I just kind of go for like checkups, and then I'm feeling good about it.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but the $3,000, I mean, it certainly helps.
Oh yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
I mean, 3,000 versus 300. Yeah. Holy crap! I need to talk to you about benefits, because that's amazing. Yeah. And when I first saw a psychologist, my mom was telling me the other day, because I was so young, I didn't really quite understand, but I was 15 when I was diagnosed, I guess, with depression, and she said that it was really hard to find someone in the area that dealt with teenagers. It was either child psychologist or adult psychologist. So I ended up going to see a child psychologist when I was 15, 16 years old, and I personally thought she was kind of a whack job. Like, I didn't really like her. But my parents paid for it out of their pockets. Like, I don't think their benefits really covered much of it, but it's something that you need, right? So it's just you got to put the money out there, because if you feel you need it, you need it.
Well, it's no different than needing glasses.
In my opinion. Absolutely. Except these cost a hell of a lot more than glasses.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're coming up on 10 minutes again. So did you have anything else you wanted to say, or?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, maybe we'll come back again if you want to.
Sure.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening to us babble, I guess, about our mental health issues once again. And I'm sure I will be back with another guest. But thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye, guys.